Hey everyone, welcome to a Raptor rave. Ooh, 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 ooh. We all need our glow sticks, right? Okay, so we're going to do a lot today. I'm going to breeze through the basics really fast. I'm going to show you guys the super secret entry into the prototypes of what's coming to the free version. We call it Baby Raptor. Rexy has a Baby Rexy that FFA is used to. We're going to teach you guys all about the baby system. Baby means it's not in production, which means it can have bugs and everything like that. And if you're in the Discord, you can say, hey, I tried this in baby and I like this feature, or I wish it worked like this, or can it do this? You guys have been doing a great job in the Discord on feedback, and we've been answering all of that. So keep it up. You guys are doing fantastic. I'm so proud of how much text. We are over a gigabyte a day, over a gigabyte a day of text. I just can't. I just want to lay down. So let's go ahead and get started, and I will show you how you get into the Baby Raptor. Woo, sorry. I'm going to probably confuse Rexy and Raptor, but if I say Rexy, I mean Raptor. So Baby Raptor real fast. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here I am in Baby Raptor Write. Now, how the heck do you get to Baby Raptor Write? Well, let me show you. So you guys are used to raptorwrite.com. So I'm going to go to Raptor Write, and I'm not logged in. Okay, so I'm going to log in with my Teachable, or you can register for the FFA class. It's a free class if you want access to Raptor Write. So I'm going to go ahead and log in, and look, authentication is successful. Dun, 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 dun. Here's where the secret access is, guys. Ready? Over here on the second horn, you'll notice that it turns into a little clicker, okay? So if you click the second horn on the authentication successful, it takes you to Baby Raptor. That is the secret entrance. It's like a speakeasy. Yeah, speakeasy. Okay, but let me show you about the difference between these. So I'm going to go back to Raptor Write. And this is important. This is a separate installation. So what that means is your projects and stuff are not synced right now. Baby Raptor is for us to test different features that aren't available yet in regular Raptor, so that we can put it through its paces and we can make sure that it's not going to break everything. Okay, so the way you can find out, am I in Baby Raptor or am I in regular Raptor? Your URL at the top will tell you Raptor Write. Over here on Baby, it says Baby Raptor Write. You'll also see the version. You'll see Raptor Write version 21 over here for Baby, telling you it's the newer version. If you come over to Raptor Write, we're still on version 19C2. Yeah, we've done some things. So it doesn't mean that version 20 is going to actually ever be into Raptor Write. It may skip to 21. Remember when I said off the recording, we're not software engineers, we're just doing things, and we don't always do things the right way. We do have in our instructions release notes. You'll notice it's empty at the moment, but we'll start adding release notes. So as a matter of fact, I'm in my Notion, so I can just change this real fast. So let me go ahead and show you what the release notes are, because I have them. I get the release notes every morning from Joseph. So Raptor version 21 is deploying. So we'll put this one in the standard. Okay. So we're going to copy that one. And I'm also going to copy the changes that he gave me for version 20. So we'll put that in there, because I've been playing with some crazy stuff. So we'll put over here, and these are the release notes for Baby Rexy release note, Baby Raptor release notes, see? And I will put in, does it go reverse order? So it should go like version 21, and then we'll have version 20.
Newest notes should be at the top.
Yeah, okay, cool. On the success page, and then I'll go ahead and put in an image so you guys can see. Upload file. I think I have it in my downloads. If not, let me just go grab it, because Joseph made a really cute save image. Where are you saving it? To downloads. Okay, so that's where I thought it was. Okay, so it is just image.png that I saved it as, because I was lazy. And that happens a lot sometimes when I'm just saving things. Image. I'm in my downloads. I know I'm already like deviating from the thing. Hold on one second. Replace it. Okay. So I'll go back to sharing my screen here and upload file. It should be image. Okay, I'm in the J's HI image 2. That does not look like the right image. There it is. I found it. It's super cute. See? Loads normal Raptor Write, secret entrance to baby Raptor. Is that pretty clear for everybody? It's so fun. Let us know in the chat if you think it's fun that there's like a super secret entrance into the new versions. So we'll put baby Raptor Write. Okay. So let's talk about this stuff because this is kind of cool stuff. We'll get to this. So notes is going away. You guys are going to like this. In Raptor Write, you're basically going to have continue and you're going to have revise. We're going to get rid of note. Doesn't mean note doesn't work anymore. Just type your notes in. Just put square brackets, type your notes in. So we don't need an actual feature for that. Okay. Now let me show you how the projects do not align. So in the project section, if I go to load project here, we don't currently have a project on what I'm going to do with the trouble with horses. So I'm in baby Raptor Write and I'm going to go ahead and create a new project. So I'm going to click the new project button, which looks like a book. And I'm going to say trouble with horses. Okay. Now everybody always wants to know, oh, wait a minute. That's the name of my project, not the document. Actually, I'll just put chapter 1. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this document a whole bunch of times really fast. There's a reason. So now I have chapter 1. I saved in my jump cut, which is just like a super, that's not what I meant to do. A super copy paste tool. So your clipboard or whatever. I have all 8 chapters of a book that I wrote 10 years ago saved. So this is Trouble with Horses, chapter 1. And now I'll go here and I just renamed this to 2 and I'm going to paste in my chapter 2. This is how you bring documentation that you've already written into Raptor Write. You literally just go to project, click new project, name it something, and then you create the documents, a bunch of new documents. You can right click and duplicate documents. And I'm just pasting in, I'm clicking on it, I'm pasting in what it is. So here's chapter 3, and then I'll rename this chapter 3. That's it. I know it's not fun to have to bring everything in this way. Eventually with the Pro feature, we'll have the ability to upload documents. But for right now, this is how you do it. And we recommend doing it this way because does everyone see how fast these are loading for me? If I was to put everything into one document, it'll load really slow because I'm using the memory in my browser. So by breaking this down into individual chapters, it goes a whole heck of a lot faster. How many people have brought in chapters? Let us know in the chat into Raptor Write. And actually, I'm just going to duplicate the document and then move it up. Move it up. Move it up. So this is going to be, this is the clear all button, by the way, the eraser. So here I have a multiple chapter 6. So I'm in chapter 6.1, chapter 6.2. I'm going to delete all this. It does change out the title too, so I probably shouldn't have done that, but that's okay. Horses, chapter 7. There we go. And then I'll just paste in chapter 7. And this one is going to be chapter 8. So I'm going to click on 6. It's loaded. I'm going to ask him to go ahead and put in like some kind of signal that something's loading because I think we're missing that. Let me know in the chat if you think that that would be helpful. And I have one last part. And this is the Trouble with Horses epilogue. And then I'm just going to paste in my epilogue. Does anyone have questions about copying and pasting in documents in Raptor Write? That's a core functionality of Raptor Write. You just copy and paste your documents in. Now I'm going to save my project. So I have a project called The Trouble with Horses in my baby Raptor. If I come over to my regular Raptor Write and I go to project and I try to load this project, they don't talk to each other. I don't have Trouble with Horses in here. See, it's not here. And that's because they don't talk to one another. The only way that I can bring projects from one to the other is I have to come over to Baby Raptor Write. I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go back up my projects, and that's going to create a JSON-L file. And I'm going to call this number 4 in my backups. I save it into my iCloud drive. You can save it wherever you want to save it. And when I come over to regular Raptor Write, see, I'm in version 19. I can come over to settings. I can restore projects. I can choose a file, and I can bring in that number 4 in. Now, when you do this, it's going to overwrite all of the projects at once. So if you have to be careful when you do this. If you're in regular Raptor Write and you're jamming and you're writing on projects, and then you go grab projects from Raptor Write Baby and bring them in, you will overwrite your work. So you want to always make sure you, as a matter of fact, just to be safe, because I'm not really sure if I've done work here that I don't want to lose, I'm going to click backup projects, and I'm going to call this one, I know you guys can't see my screen for when I'm doing this. I'm just going to call this regular Raptor. So I'm saving all of my documents before I rewrite them. Save your documents, click backup projects before you load another projects folder or projects file. That way you'll never if you do overwrite, you can always get your work back. Does anyone have questions about that? Nope. Okay. So always back it up before you restore it. So I'm going to click restore, and I'm going to choose that file that I got from my baby Raptor. And once I load that in, now when I come to projects and I click on load project, the little box, look, Trouble with Horses is there. So that's how you bring projects into different versions of Raptor. This can be different versions across your different browsers. If you have different browsers, if you have different laptop, desktop, different computers. Another question we keep getting is about the mobile friendly version. We are working on a mobile first Raptor Write. So we're building that from scratch. Okay, so now let's get started with some prompting. So I'm going to be in Baby Raptor because I need to show you guys the new features so that by the time you're watching this video, it's possible these features will already be in regular Raptor if you're watching this video like next week. And this way you guys can work through the weekend with the new features in Baby Raptor and get used to the new changes. So AI writing. All of your models are in OpenRouter. So you click this little button to go to OpenRouter. You can click browse, and you can learn about all of the different models that are out there. We use a key. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in with Google. Yep, you know my email address. It's writer@elizabethannwest.com. I mean, I gave you all my cell phone number a few minutes ago, so might as well give you guys my email too. But at any rate, so here we are, and in keys. Keys are not complicated. If you've never worked with a key before, don't worry about it. It's just a password. It's just a coupon code that's unique to you. And it's really, really good to, it's really important that you learn how to work with keys if you are a digital publisher, because as you grow in your career, you're going to want to hook your website up to Google Analytics, to your Facebook pixel, to different things. All of those use an API key. An API key is just a password between two websites to make sure that they're talking to each other correctly and that they have access and authority to talk to one another. That's all a key is. There's nothing to be afraid about creating a key and putting your key into a box for software that you trust. So Raptor Write, we are not getting your keys or anything. It's stored in your browser. We don't have access to the key that you use. And that way you're good to go. On top of that, with OpenRouter, I have credits. I have $20 in here. Even if somebody got my key, the most you could steal from me is $20. And good luck, because it's really hard to make it right $20 worth. So there we go. Okay, so let's see what we have here. When you click download, it'll ask you where to go. First time I did it, it didn't ask me. It just went to my downloads folder. Can you change it? Yeah, you can change it. It depends on your browser actually and your operating system. That's a really great question. So if I'm in my Opera, for example, it just goes to downloads. If I am in Google Chrome, it prompts me to change what folder it is. So that particular decision is based on what browser you're using and your operating system. for where it's asking you to download. Because mine does not download to my download folder if I'm in Chrome. It downloads to my iCloud drive. It didn't ask you. Okay, so we'll see if we can find a way to how that set it, where that setting is. So I will research that. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, there's a Chrome setting to have it ask. That's what I thought it was. It's a setting inside of Chrome. So we'll figure out that answer and we'll put it in the frequently asked questions. Good question though.
I just added to the chat.
Okay, perfect. Oh, you found it. That's what you were doing. I was like, Stacy's being really focused. So Stacy's got your answer for you. And that's how we do it at the FFA. I mean, we just like, we're a group of authors. This is the tribe. We find the answers for people. Absolutely. Yay. Glad we could help. Okay. I've completely forgot what I was doing. Oh, models. Yeah. So your credits, they can only steal however much money you put into here. You can also, on your individual key, when you create it, you can actually limit it. I don't recommend doing that because the number one thing that people run into problems with when they get those messages of it can't give me a response, you're most likely out of money. So if you start putting like crazy limits of like $2 on this key and you're hammering and you're in the groove, you could run out of your $1 or $2 or whatever. And then you're like, I don't know why it's not working, because you don't remember that you put that limit on yourself. Okay, another thing about our documentation, we do also now have a frequently asked questions. This is really, really good. And Steph has been working on this, and she's been putting all kinds of answers to questions as they come. And we have right here.
On it right now.
She's working on it right now. So there you go.
Always being updated.
Yeah. Number 18, didn't receive a response from LLM. Please try a different model. It can be tricky to troubleshoot that. There's a couple of different reasons. A lot of times when that happens to me, I just click the button again. And then my next step is I check my prompt and make sure that there's stuff in my prompt. And if that's not working, then I change the model. And then next thing I do is I go check to see I have money. Like that's my troubleshooting flow chart. That's how I do that. Okay. So let's talk about the trouble with horses here. I think we're good to go. So we can start running some AI. Does anyone have any questions about some of the settings and things that I went over for how you bring a project in, how you bring your documents in? Like that's the number one thing that people always ask us, like, how do we get started? Here's how you bring your documents in. Here's how you save your projects. All right, let's get playing. So I'm going to use OpenAI. I'm going to use AI here. We have your top 10 models. We have your top spicy models. So if this was a sexy time, I could still get the information I'm about to do. That's really, really handy. A lot of times with tools, you have this really great book, but it's not going to tell you about the plot or anything like that because there's sexy times. There's free models. Free models are dumb. Say it with me. Free models are dumb. They're the dumbest models out there. They're the worst at following instructions, you can use them, but you're going to need to take some time to learn how to prompt them. They have the highest, I would say, curve on trying to get them to actually behave and do things. And then you have your favorites, which you set in settings. Go through the list, check which ones you want, go to the bottom, click save. That's it. Okay, so let's talk about getting information. I wrote this book 10 years ago, right? And there's actually a video where I put this whole thing into Realm Chef to get different, at the beginning of the year, Realm Chef has a great tool, by the way. If you don't want to do what I'm about to do manually, Realm Chef has a tool that you can just pop your whole book in. And it's pretty robust on actually pulling the information in. We got to test it a lot. That's because there's best practices and bad practices at getting information out of the AI. How many of you have old books and you need to have the story Bible information or the summaries and all that, like the Cliff Notes information, your characters, your plots, your summaries, what the heck happened? Okay. So the bad way to do it, I'm going to do the bad way first, just so everyone can see it, and I will label it. I'm going to turn everything on. I'm going to come to my settings. I'm going to configure my prompts, and I'm going to say, you are a story writing assistant who extracts factual information about the story you are given. You obey and perform the tasks you are asked to do. Okay. So that's my system prompt. Continue prompt. I'm not going to continue the story because that's not what I want to do. So instructions are just going to be follow the instructions below in brackets about the story. And then story is everything that is covered in. Okay. So that's how I changed my prompts. Don't worry, I will put them into the chat and we will make sure that they go into various information about this thing. So your system prompt, we changed it to this, and the continue prefix is this information.
But this is the bad way, right? Do we want to take note of
we're not going to change the prompts. So I'm going to, the bad way is only going to be about the toggles. Good question, McKinley. So this is the bad way, but these are the right prompts to do it, even for the good way. So I'm going to save this. Here's the bad way to do this. The bad way is to toggle everything on. Oh, my blank title. I need to, oh yeah, blank title is fine. We don't need to toggle that one on. And I'm going to call this Story Bible Information. And I'm going to give it instructions. Write a thorough story Bible with all characters, plot events, settings, and summaries for each chapter for the entire book. This is the bad way to do it. Don't do it this way, guys, and you're going to see why. So I'm going to use 4.0 mini, and I'm going to go with Supermax because it's the only model that can actually do 16,000 words. Most of my story Bibles are pretty thorough, and they're a couple thousand words. So I need to use a model that can actually answer that many words at one time, or use a model that I can continue with. But we'll go with 4.0 mini, and we'll say that this is the 4.0 mini the test. And then I just press my slash. Actually, I'm going to bring my temperature down to 0.5 because I do not want it to create anything. I want it to be very deterministic and accurate. Lower temperature means more accuracy, less randomness or creativeness or chaos in the tokens it selects. So there we go. And while that's running, I'm going to let Dasha out. Go. Okay. So here we go. It has some information here. It has a plot summary for each chapter. Look, it left off the epilogue. There's an epilogue in there too. It didn't do the epilogue. All right. And I'm going to press equals. So this thing wrote 948 words on a 27,000 novella. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that that's probably very accurate. It has some information that's good. The woods, the setting for Elizabeth's brave encounter with Darcy, symbolizing her adventurous spirit and willingness to defy societal norms. I know for, well, I don't know for a fact. I'm pretty sure I named it Winslow's Woods, though. I'm pretty sure the woods have a very specific name because I use that in all of my Jaff. The Assembly Woods in London. I know for a fact that in this book, there is a part of the book where they stop at an inn and the inn has a name. Let's see here. There we go. They are traveling to London, but there's a part where they travel at an inn too, and it's there. So it's not very accurate. Does everybody see how this is a pretty thin story Bible? So what are some ideas for how to make this better? The way to make this better is to go one chapter at a time, and I'll show you how you do that. So I'm going to go ahead. We have the Story Bible Mini. I'm going to create a new document. We're still going to be in Mini because it's cheap. Story Bible Mini 4.0, one chapter at a time. Okay, so now I toggle everything off. I toggle on just the first chapter. I'll grab that same prompt that we had here and I'll just tweak for it. So we're going to go chapter by chapter. So I'm going to go write a thorough story Bible with all characters, plot events, things, and summaries for the chapter above, because this is the last part of the prompt when you look at the prompt. We also have prompt preview right here. So look, this is a new feature. This is only in Baby Raptor. It will be coming to a regular Raptor near you. Prompt preview will show me exactly what I'm sending now. I'm sending your story writing assistant. Here's chapter 1. And then at the bottom, you can see my Trouble with Horses chapter 1 end. Write a thorough story Bible with all characters, plot events, settings, and summaries for the chapter above. Does everyone see that? Does it show up when I do the prompt preview? So prompt preview, it's a new feature. Yay! But we want to test things before we put them out. So I'm going to click close. It'll tell you exactly how many tokens are going to be in your prompt as well, and how many words are in your prompt. So this is also going to help you to make sure that you're choosing a model that can handle this. So there we go. The chapter and settings above. So going to go ahead and prompt that. And it's just going to do chapter 1. Look at how many more characters it found versus when I tried to, it never mentioned John Lucas. It never mentioned, look, I told you the woods have a name. It's called Winslow's Woods. It is not just called the Woods. That is not it. So go one chapter at a time. And here's the cool thing, right? We have chapter 1 right here. All right. So I'm going to go, good, thumbs it up. We're good. I'm going to grab this prompt, take it out, come down here. And I'm going to say for chapter 2 above. And I toggle off chapter 1. Which one do you think I toggle on? Chapter 2. And we go. And it's probably going to match the exact look, story Bible for chapter 2. It has the summary. And it's working. Now we have all of this. We have the plot events. We have the settings. We have the tone and style. Does anyone have questions about this? Does it make sense to everyone now? There's a wrong way to do it and a right way to do it. The wrong way to do it is to give it your entire document at once and ask it to do this. The best way to do it is chapter by chapter or scene by scene. If your chapter is like 12,000 words long, go scene by scene. This is because of a limitation inside of, it's a limitation inside of the AI in itself. The longer the document you give it to process, the more inaccurate it's going to be, and the more it's going to hallucinate, and the more it's going to shorten. Because if you give it a 100,000 word document and you ask it to summarize that for you, it only has about 1,000 or 2,000 word or tokens, that words that it can write back to you at one time for most of them. I already have more words on 2 chapters than what I had for the entire one from just the one. Is there a chance of getting a copy of those prompts into the chat? Yeah, I put them in. Oh, I put I put the ones from the system and everything into the chat, and I will grab the one that I did here. So write a 30 story, and you can tweak these guys for what you need. If your book is a lit RPG, you can ask it to include the stats that are talked about in each chapter. Okay, so that way you have a running going of it and you can make sure things are accurate. You definitely want to double check though, because math is not a strong suit. And then you just change the end of it. See, Mike, you can do this. You can do this, by the way, in regular Raptor. Everything I've shown you right now, same thing for regular Raptor. It all works the same way. The only thing regular Raptor does not have right now is the preview the prompt. That's the only feature that is new for baby Raptor right now, but will be coming to a regular Raptor near you soon. Absolutely. And then Ash says, at the end or part way, could we compare it, get it to compare and condense into one document? Yes, and sometimes no. It's not always the best at doing that. You may have to do that. You may find that you want to do that manually. But let's say I don't toggle anything on. I just toggle it all off. And I'm just going to toggle on the one chapter at a time. And what I can do is there's 2 ways. There's always more than one way to do. There's always more than one way to do something in Raptor Write. Always. And that's by design so that nobody has to do things one way. So I'm going to duplicate this document and I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. The first one I'm going to show you is destructive. So destructive means revise. So I'm just going to highlight all of this. And we'll see down here at the bottom, that's 1,742 words. I'm going to right click and go to revise. And I'm going to say, please shorten this to condense characters and information. So it's only information an author needs to know to identify things in the chapters where they happen. Now, here's where this is a struggle bus. This is not a great prompt. I can tell you right now, this is a very confusing prompt. If I gave this to a human, do you all know what I even mean by what information an author needs to know to identify things in the chapters where they happen? Isn't that kind of vague? Yeah, it gets tricky to try to shorten it. So you may have to play with this prompt. I'm not saying this is a good prompt. I'm writing this prompt on the fly. Usually I condense things manually just because that's the way I check that it's accurate. Still saves me a ton of time. Again, you have prompt preview, so you can preview what you're sending to make sure it's everything that you want to send and nothing that you don't want to send. So you can always preview the prompt and just kind of double check it. I'm going to close that. Clearing the instructions. We now have sticky instructions on by default because a lot of times with revise, we want to reuse or retweak or whatever. So it's always going to keep your last revise instructions now inside of Raptor Write, and then you can just click clear instructions really fast if you want to do a new prompt. So I'm going to click submit. And the reason I call this destructive method is because this is, it's going to replace once I say yes, but not entirely. I'll explain in a minute. Do you see how it just truncated everything? Plot events, finds him unconscious, saves him from a snake, rides back to fetch assistance. You may like it better this way. If you don't like it better, you can rerun it. You can change the prompt. You now have a way to keep everything. So if I right click, there's now keep all. So if you accept, you lose the stuff that you had highlighted. If you reject it, it just goes away. If you say keep all, it now keeps what you highlighted and the bottom on top and the bottom as well. And see, this is why this is in Baby Raptor, because I can already see the bug that it didn't clear this. And this is why we have in Baby Raptor, yeah. So I just have that. It didn't clear out the prompt. Destructive mode would have been, if I had accepted it, it would have deleted what it had up at the top. That would have been destructive mode. Honestly, I got in the middle of doing that and I forgot that we added this feature of keep all. And how did keep all come about? Well, the other night I was writing, I wrote 5,500 words in 2 hours. And you all know I took advantage of a bug that I knew was there because I didn't want it to delete what I already had. I wanted to kit bash them manually myself. So then I messaged Joseph. I was like, can we get a keep all? Because I just used a bug to force myself to keep all that way. Because sometimes you want to manually like mash what you originally had and what the AI wrote. And I wanted to do it together. Any questions about how we are building this story Bible? Okay, I'm not going to go through all the chapters and all of that. I just wanted to show you guys the methodology. So go a chapter or a scene at a time. Use the prompts that you have, preview the prompts. Get the information. You can I can't say that word, concatenate it on your own. You can edit it yourself. You can clean it up yourself. You can ask the AI to clean it up. Your mileage may vary when you ask the AI something that does not think for itself. It only predicts the next token to shorten it for you. Is this going to help everybody to be able to pull their story information? Good. I'll give a minute for people to put questions in the chat because I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is how in the heck do I make it plan out what to do next? So the best practice for that is to go ahead and make a whole story Bible, and then you can use that story Bible to put it in. To get your doc into the Raptor Write, you just copy and paste, Mike. That's what you do. You saw me. I copied and pasted. One chapter at a time. It's a pain in the butt to do it one time, but once it's in there, it's in there. All right, I'm going to save my project. And I'm now going to toggle everything on, but then toggle off all this stuff at the bottom. Newer models do have the ability to do what seems like high-end reasoning. And let me explain that. On the back end, when you're using Claude, when you're using OpenAI, it's not actually just running one time. They've confirmed this, that it goes through a bunch of different experts. It's double checking the answer on the back end. Sometimes you'll watch the answer and it's like, I'm streaming the answer and then I stop and then it keeps going. How many people have seen that? It happened just earlier. It started going and then it stopped and then it kept going. There's shenanigans on the back end when you're running these AIs, that it's running them through multiple times. It's doing layering. It's doing decisions about this is not a good response, change the response, add to it. Raptor Write lets you do that manually, but we don't have any ability to control the output of the AI. Sometimes you're going to get stuff back and it sucks. It's just the way it is. Sometimes you get something back from the AI and it's completely wrong. You didn't prompt it wrong. It's just the AI. And this happens in any AI tool that's out there. It doesn't matter if it's us or Pseudo-Write or Typing Mind or Novel Crafter or Novel AI or Claude Chat or OpenAI Chat. Sometimes you click the button and you just get junk. How many people have experienced that where you just get something and you're like, I don't know what you're smoking, AI, but you are not on task with what we're doing. And the reason for that is because when it starts selecting tokens, if it selects one token early on, that's a very low percentage token, you are on that roller coaster of a whole bunch of like whatever tangent that is. And that's just the nature of the way that AI works. It's generative AI. It's just a dictionary slot machine. However, it feels like it can think. And let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to check my prompts. You're a story writing assistant who extracts factual information about the story you were given. You obey and perform the tasks you are asked to do. Follow the instructions in the brackets about the story. I'm going to leave the prompt the same. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to now go into like a chat mode with Raptor Write. Every document is a chat. It is a chat. So let's chat about the future. Chat about SQL. Can you identify all of the plot lines in The Trouble with Horses? That would be good for a sequel. Please make sure you also identify a strong subplot focusing on Darcy and Elizabeth, because they must be in the book in a meaningful way for readers to buy it. Okay, this is a pretty complicated thought exercise, right? I'm asking the AI to identify, oh, and I already pressed the button. I didn't mean to press the button, but that's okay. So here's the main plot lines for a sequel. Wickham's continued schemes, strong subplot. Now I'm looking for it to identify that Mary and Colonel Fitzwilliam get together. So let's see here. The involvement of Colonel Fitzwilliam could be expanded, perhaps focusing on his own romantic interests and how they intersect with Elizabeth and Darcy's lives. Jane getting married to the Bingley family. Sure. So I'm going to press OK on this. And I'm going to ask it a question and see if it's accurate. Who marries Colonel Fitzwilliam? Let's see if it identifies Mary. So I'm going to press go. The dog. Okay. So it's not correct here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thumb this down in The Trouble with Horses. So I'm asking specifically for this particular, because it has it. And I'm going to just double check my prompt on this to make sure that it's getting all the information. Okay, it is getting all the information. So I just wanted to make sure that it is going. I'm literally sending 33,000 tokens a go right now, everyone, for this one little question to be answered. This is why it's a better practice to have your story Bible done and then having it ask your story Bible. Oh, but look right here. There's hints of a romantic interest in the story, particularly with the character of Mary Bennet. There's no definitive. So watch this. I'm going to say yes. Are you sure? Check the epilogue. You're right. The epilogue. It is indeed suggested he marries Mary Bennett, which is indicated by the mention of their relationship and plans for their honeymoon. I'm telling you all, it's dumb. It doesn't think. So you're going to need to know an inkling of where in your writing it can find this information. It can find this information, but only if you give it a clue as to where the information exists. Does everybody see what it took for me to get it to give me a correct answer? Now, not all models are the same. This was with 4.0. Let's see what happens when we go with quote unquote a smarter model. So I'm going to go ahead and label this as 4.0. We're going to grab the same prompt that I did. Let's go ahead and test with do a new document, and we're going to call this the chat. Who wants to see Claude? Claude, Sonnet, see that we can compare. So we have this. I go to my AI settings. I'm going to change from 4.0 minute to Claude Sonnet. Can't do 16,000, so I'm going to bring this down to 8,000. And let's see how well Claude can do. Now, Claude and OpenAI are trained differently. They were trained. So here it has some plot lines. And look at this. It picked up right away Mary and Colonel Fitzwilliam's new marriage. Claude Sonnet is like multiple times more expensive than 4.0 mini. 4.0 mini is a cheap little model. If you use a cheap little model for high-end thinking, it's not running through the layers as many times on the back end to find the right answer. Claude Sonnet's more expensive, but it got the answer right away. It picked up that Mary and Colonel Fitzwilliam's new marriage. So this is a balancing act that you have to do. And when software decides for you what model you get, sometimes you don't get the right answer you have. I would much rather pay for Sonnet and get the right answer the first time than use a dumber model like 4.0 mini, which somebody might lock me into because it's so cheap. And let me show you how the difference in the cost. So I'm going to go to my activity and look at this. So when we were asking these questions of Mini, you saw how many times it took me to get the right answer. See, 1, 2, 3. This, I need a calculator. Let's see here. Calculator is out. So the first ask here, we'll go with this first one, the 32,000, because I went like 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0.0052 plus 0.00504 plus 0.00498 plus 0.005. That cost 2 cents plus the time of my life, which was expensive, okay? Because you can see this, and this is really cool. I started at 50:44. I didn't get a right answer from this for 2 minutes. It took 2 minutes of my life. It's like 2 minutes of my life and 2 cents for me to get the right answer out of 4.0 mini. Whereas Sonnet got the right answer right away, but I paid 11 cents for it. So this is the balancing act you have to play. If it's worth it for you to pay 11 cents to get the answer right away, use Claude. But even Claude can be wrong sometimes. Sometimes you'll pay that 11 cents and you still don't get the right answer. But it is more likely to give you a good answer. What happens if you set the output limit higher than the model you select can do? Does it refuse to run? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on what the OpenRouter, has set. So let me come over to Baby Raptor. In Claude Sonnet, it probably would have been fine. I'm just trying to reinforce that you want to change it. So if I go right here, we're using Sonnet. I'll put it to 16,000. I'm going to say, great. And you make an 8-chapter, 24 scene sequel outline. And let's see what it does. So I put it at 16,000. I'm giving it a lot of tokens. And so here it does for the sequel to The Trouble with Horses. So it didn't affect it. Some of the open source models, though, if you put a higher output, it'll come back and say no response because it needs that. So here we go. It does. They arrive at Pemberley. We have the Meryton Ball, which I don't even understand how we got to Meryton, but sure. So it kind of came up with stuff. This is crap to me. I can already tell that this is not great. I have no idea what anybody's doing. That doesn't make sense. I don't know why we have a Meriton Ball in chapter 6, but we're clearly at Pemberley in chapter 1. How did that happen? So this is where it goes back to not even Claude. And I just paid 11 cents for that, for something I can't even use. I wouldn't even use. So does that happen though in other places where you get an outline or something like that and it's just baloney? It's just like, this doesn't even make any cognitive sense. You gave it all of the information that you had, and then the AI just writes you back something that doesn't even make any sense. It happens to me all the time, sometimes in chat, sometimes in different tools. Yeah. Handy goes, oh my God, 11 cents. I need to sell my child. I know you make the joke. Okay. But that 11 cents adds up. So, I mean, you start clicking it and you get something you can't use. I can't use this outline. This outline makes no sense. I want you to see, what the heck is the story? Mary and Colonel Fitzwilliam arrive at Pemberley. Elizabeth feels pressure from Lady Catherine about producing an heir. Darcy receives troubling news about his business investments. The Bennets gather at Pemberley, causing chaos. Jane and Bingley announce Jane's pregnancy. Elizabeth confides in Jane about her struggles to conceive. Okay, we got a little bit of story going here. The men go hunting, leaving the women to entertain themselves. Mrs. Bennet meddles in Mary and Colonel Fitzwilliam's marriage. Darcy and Elizabeth have a misunderstanding about their efforts to conceive. Wickham is spotted in a nearby village. Colonel Fitzwilliam and Darcy investigate Wickham's presence. That doesn't make sense. In The Trouble with Horses, that dude got killed basically for stealing. He stole money. Like, this doesn't make sense. This is Claude's fault. This is not Raptor's fault. Raptor doesn't do anything about the AI. This is Claude not understanding that Wickham is dead. Or that Wickham was seriously is in a problem. See, it has potential reappearance of Wickham. I didn't fix it here. It gave me the wrong idea in the potential plot line. Does that make sense, Andy? That this isn't Raptor is just a wrapper of your prompts and everything like that. The AI is not able to think cognitively of higher end. Anybody in this room who knows anything about Regency stuff, if someone gets caught stealing, what is the penalty in 1811? You're dead. Especially if you steal from the freaking army. He stole the pay from the in the story. He stole the pay. So that's death. If you don't have problems with Claude chat, it's probably because you're writing modern. You're writing in some kind of genre where information and facts and critical thinking and stuff isn't necessarily required, because it's really well trained on modern information. Does that make sense, Andy? Yeah, because you're not writing historical. My other people who write historical who are in the house, how many of you have gotten it to make really wackadoo recommendations because they didn't have the historical facts correct? I'll raise my hand. It's not so bad as like zippers, but there's been a couple of times where like I'm trying to write a Regency and it has them waltzing and I'm like, the waltz was not there till 1813. I said that the story takes place in 1811. It doesn't always know all the facts. It's just the way it is. Now, if you make a fine tune that is correcting things for historical facts and stuff, and you give it a document of like, here are the facts you have to stick with, it can usually follow that. HF author says not only for historical elements, but complicated plots, it can't always seem to keep up. Exactly. Mysteries, you're going to have to like give it information on everything like that. Now watch what happens though. Here's how you fix it. If we're okay with 11 cents. Wickham stole in The Trouble with Horses in 1811. Do you really think he can come back? What's the penalty for theft in 1811? So I'm just writing back to it like a chat, and it's going to come back like, oh, you're right. I apologize. Given the context, it would be extremely unlikely. The penalties for theft were quite severe, including transportation to a penal colony or eventual even execution. It knows the information, but you have to work with it in steps because it can't think. It can't do the upper level contextual thinking that humans can do. It will get stuff wrong if you don't walk it through step by step, like it's a little kid. So look, it says, instead of bringing Wickham back, here's some other options. Now this is worth 11 cents to me. This is like, okay, I can get this done. I can spend $1 and I can get my whole outline finalized. You cannot use fine-tuned models in free Raptor. You can use fine-tuned models in the pro version once we have that set up, because you can use fine-tuned models inside of Rexy, but you cannot use fine-tuned models inside of pre-Raptor Write. That would be a lot of tech support help. All right, I'm going to press equals. And now I'm going to show you the last little new tools that are coming here in Baby Raptor. So I'm going to turn Claude Sonnet on. So it has the examples here. If you really want to just like, you don't care about the money, you just want good stuff. So I have this chat. So I have this. I'm going to go with a new document. I'm going to say, give a title for the sequel to The Trouble with Horses. Go ahead and write chapter 1 in the same voice and style that The Trouble with Horses is written in. Boy. Okay, so there's my prompt. Ready? Everybody good? Oh, I just gave it all the chapters and it's just going to read the information in Claude Sonnet. I'm not even being well organized. I'm being sloppy here right now. So I'm just going to let Claude Sonnet go ahead and see if it can write that first chapter for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's see what it writes. The Darcy Dilemma. Tolerable, though I confess I'm glad to be on solid ground again. She means to say I drive too fast for her liking. But what's the point of having fine horses if you don't let them run? I love this. This is really good. It's just short. It only wrote me 630 words. So I'm going to press equals. And this is the new feature that is in Baby Raptor. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the time. Okay, yeah, this is good to wrap up. You can now continue from anywhere, including the middle, but wherever you put your cursor, it's going to lop off the bottom. Okay, so if I put my cursor here, as they made up into their way, right here, and I click continue, it's not going to know the bottom part of this document. So if I do my preview of my post right here, it will show they're here. Welcome to Pemberley. Come inside, both of you. I'm sure you'd like to rest before dinner, as they made their way the small of jet back. So see how it cut it off right here? So it ended at relationship because that's where my prompt is. Once the newlyweds is the rest of the document. Now it's also not going to connect. It has no idea what happens in the rest of this. But if I press continue, because this is what everybody asked for, if I press continue right here, it's just going to continue with all of that context from there. So it decided to do the drawing room. And it starts to go off. So you can now continue from the middle. You can also give it instructions. If I put in brackets, hey, have this happen next, it can do that too. So if I want to keep this and I press equals, it says once the newlyweds were shown to their room. Now I can just like, so it automatically puts in the double percentage signs. So you can manually put in the double percentage signs at the bottom of documents and that'll cut that off. Or it does it automatically with continue. So you don't need to put them in. That's a good question. I'll show you what I mean by that. Yes, you can continue from the middle. So let's go over here to Sonnet. And let's say I put here a little note to myself. I'm going to put percentage. And I'm going to say, Elizabeth, take the time to read this and make a decent outline. You're being lazy. So I'm going to put that note to myself. This only works for one time in a document and it just cuts off anything below it. So now that the Claude chat has that, I'm going to come back over to my blank title. And let's say I'm going to continue. I'm going to preview my prompt and I'm going to come up to where it says the outline. So chapter 8 resolution, chat with Claude Sonnet. So that's the document that I edited. Do you guys see how there's no note here that says, Elizabeth, stop being lazy? Okay, so I'm going to come back to the Claude channel, the Claude chat again. It's in the release notes about this. I'm going to take out the percentage signs. And now when I preview my chat or preview my document, oh, wait, let me go into the other one. My bad. So now when I preview my document here, and I come up to the end of that document, it says, Elizabeth, take the time to read this and make a decent outline. You're being lazy. See that comment right there? Yeah, you can comment out at the bottom of your documents with 2 percentage signs. So you can put notes to yourself of things that you want to do later on in the documents, and you can still toggle them on for context. You also can use this to have a whole bunch of different versions of your character lists, and like you can like move them up and move them around and keep them in the document, but everything below the 2 percentage signs will not be shown. Yep. It's the markdown it's the markdown language or markdown. It's the markdown feature for commenting out. So this is going to allow you guys to have a lot more control over what's in your documents being sent as context and everything. So again, I'll show again. If I come over to that document, the Claude chat with Claude Sonnet, so I'm going to close this and come over to my chat. I'm going to put my percentage signs in. The AI does not need to know that I yell at myself. Come over to blank title. Like I'm gonna continue here. I can preview my response. And when I go up to where that document is, there's no note now to myself. There's no note to myself. This also means it's crude, but if you co-write with someone, you could put notes at the bottom of the documents, and then you download your projects, give it to them to upload into their Raptor Write. They can see your comments at the bottom that are accepted out with your percentage signs. I know it's clunky. It's not the best way to co-write, but there is that capability that you could comment things out on documents and people can see it at the bottom. Why do I want you to run it to see how the AI reacts to you shouting at yourself? We can. I wouldn't do it with this one. I would go with a new document and throw it up here because I kind of want to see it yelling at myself too. Author Elizabeth Ann West. So it won't confuse me with Bennett. Yeah, with Elizabeth Bennett. Author Elizabeth Ann West, take the time to read this and make a decent outline. You're being lazy. Let's see what it does when I continue. I just been curious. It's probably gonna be like, you're not lazy. You're great. I just want to see what it says. Oh, I didn't get a response. It happens. Try it again. I will not pretend to be or impersonate Elizabeth Ann West or any real author. However, I'd be happy to have a thoughtful discussion about crafting an outline for Pride and Prejudice sequel that aims to be historically accurate and true. Hi, I'm talking to you. I'm author Elizabeth Ann West. Working with you. Am I lazy? Charging 11 cents to put my ego in. Yeah, so yeah, Claude's like, no, not gonna do it. And that's probably why the first time I got back a no response, because it hit the moderation and it was like, no, she's trying to do plagiarized material or whatever. Let's see what Minnie says. If Minnie says that I'm not lazy. So I'm just changing the model to Minnie. There we go. So it's a little bit better. I'm here to assist you. Let's see what Mistral says. Mistral large. Oh, I can just click rerun. Rerun. Story Bible. Yeah, Mistral's just confused. Mistral's like, I don't know what we're doing. We're just going to click stop. We're not going to run that. Okay, so aborted. So there you guys go. Those are the newest features inside of inside of Raptor Write. My goodness. So your sky's the limit. A document is a chat. Put whatever you want in the document. Toggle it on to tell it, like, this goes into the prompt. Click the binoculars and preview your prompt. Backslash keeps going. Highlight, revise, it makes changes and can replace it when you press the equal sign. And we have a new feature now that you can continue from anywhere in the middle. That right click button, you can keep both. It has a lot more actions on it. So it should work with any foreign keyboard. So you guys don't have that problem anymore. You can just right click and do your thing. This should make writing with AI, editing with AI, doing your thing with AI, however you want it to help you, so much faster. You can be in the middle of writing a chapter, start a new document, not give it any context at all, toggle everything off and be like, give me a list of 14 ways to kill someone in 1811. And if you pick a model like Mistral or something, it'll happily kill people. But if Claude's like, we need to have a conscious discussion about killing people in 1811, don't use Claude, like use a different model. That's why we have the spicy models in there. Does anyone have any questions about how to get into Baby Raptor, how to use it? Again, all these features I showed today, if you're watching this and it's not Friday, August 23rd, when you're watching this, these features are in probably regular Raptor at this point. So you can always check your numbering there. And we have the release notes now in instructions so you can see them. Will tonight's session go over the same, or will you? I'm not teaching tonight's session. The amazing Leland is. So he's probably going to do completely different. He's probably going to do more of like a beginner's session of like start from scratch. He's not going to show, I don't think, Baby Raptor. He's going to show regular Raptor. I handle the cutting edge stuff. That's because I'm the one that everything goes to. Like I'm the one who works with the developer and stuff one-on-one and getting everything going. Sorry, not sorry. You guys did not sign up for the latest and greatest, but it's here. Not a question about Raptor Write. So excited to play with this. What's the best way to get the AI to continue writing in your style? Would that be to create a document with a writing sample and then refer to it in the prompt instructions? The easiest way to get it to follow you is to give it a sample chapter. It wrote like me because it had my writing in there. So, and you saw how I just labeled all those chapters a different book, and it understood that we were writing a new book. So it didn't just repeat what it had already done. You don't have to give it the whole book. You can just say, you can literally title something writing sample and give it a chapter, and it will know in the context, this is just a sample of the writing that we need to do so that it understands how to write it. Yeah, that's the easiest way to get it to follow you. If you ask it to read your writing and write a writing style for you, it's hit or miss in terms of what it defines as your writing style and if that's consistent or not. For revise, yes, because if you have that toggled on as a writing sample, so it knows how to write, but you really don't have to with revise, because if you're using the writing sample when it writes for you, when you click revise, it's just going to make minor edits to that writing. But yeah, you can click on the revise as well. I mean, you can click on the document of writing sample to be in your revise prompt as well, is what I mean. These are just limitations of AI writing. AI cannot reliably, even with a fine tune, be perfect in your writing style. It'll be close. You can get it to 80 to 90% there, but there's zero AI writing tools out there that can get it to be exactly the way you would write it. It cannot read your mind. Can I hear from any, I know you have questions, McKinley, we'll get to them. Can I hear from any experienced AI writing people in the house? Can AI perfectly match the way you write?
Never.
Never.
No, it just can't.
Which is actually
because it
good.
can't do all, yeah, because it can't do all the things that you're doing when you're writing.
No.
Because again, it can't think. It can't actually think. Like,
Nope.
It can sort of pick up the structure and the way you present things with a fine tune, but it's never good. It doesn't have a brain.
Yeah. I like what Ash says. I can't even perfectly match the way I write half the time. Facts. Like, that's a reality. If I look at my books from 10 years ago to my books now, I'm not even the same writer. I don't even write the same way. So AI can only get you part of the way there. And then you're going to have to get to the point where you're like, okay, that's good enough. Or I want to improve this. And we're hoping that Raptor Write provides you guys the opportunity that you can play with different models. You can play with different prompting, and you can really get in there and experiment and find out the best writing flow for you. The way I work with Raptor Write may not be the same way that Stacy, I know for a fact it's not the way that Stacy writes with Raptor Write. She's going to be baking up a storm now that she's got the percentage size. Do this version, do that version.
Or the keep both is what I'm excited about.
Keep both. Keep both. You don't have to use a bug to do that. All right, Mackenzie, go ahead with, or McKinley, go ahead with your questions.
So one was clarification. Well, maybe they're both clarification, but
Yeah.
the first one was like, when you were doing all that, we had to make sure and max out the token window or whatever you call it, right? Okay. And then the other thing is,
I only did that to show that some models, it doesn't care if you have a higher number and it can actually do it. If you were to max it at 16,000 and you pick like sometimes like Star Cannon or some of the open source models, it might flag back. It can't give a response. And the problem is you're asking for too much. It just depends on the provider of the models.
and that's because we're putting in all the chapters. We're putting in so much information. So we're using up our
context
quota.
window? No.
Yeah, like.
So context window is completely different from output. Now output plus what you put in is got to be less than what the whole model is. I'll give an example. ChatGPT 3.5 can handle 16,000 tokens. 16.5 is what it's always called, 16,000 tokens. So if I feed it 12,000 tokens, it can only write me back up to 4,000 tokens. But it actually doesn't have the ability to write back 4,000 tokens at any time whatsoever. The max it can actually write back is 2,096.
Okay.
So.
And then the other thing is, because I'm new and I was trying to get everything set up at the beginning, there was like some complication in terms of, I think it was Claude, something about AWS. Is that no longer true?
Don't do it. Let it go. We're going to delete that. No, that was from a time when Claude was stingy with their keys. That's a question about Rexy. You no longer have to use. Yeah, we did actually use Amazon AWS to get access to Claude before they had the keys for everybody. You don't need to do that anymore. We'll start writing deprecated on that.
Thanks.
Okay, so Pam has a question. Can you put the story so far instead of all the chapters? If you want to throw it all in one document and say story so far, yes, you can do that methodology. The downside of that is it'll run slow. It can take forever to load when you click on that document to get it. But if you don't plan after you deal with all that nonsense of getting it in there, of ever going in there and changing it, you're just toggling it on and toggling it off, that's fine. That you won't have to wait when you toggle it on. It'll automatically go into the prompt. It's just to actually display like 30,000 words in one document can really bog down your browser. And I'll go ahead and show that really fast just so people can see it, because we did that. So in this project, you guys can see I can click project 4. I can click project chapter 3, chapter 2. There's chapter 3. There's chapter 2. It takes it a second to load. Okay. And that's kind of like the limit of my personal patience of waiting for something to load. Let me save this project and let me load. I've got this. This is one of the original projects I did. So our story information here. Oh, nope. I'm sorry. Story so far. So story information loaded quick. It's only 1,000 words. Let me click on story so far. I've clicked on it. I clicked on it. I clicked on it. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. Now it loaded. And that's because that thing has 34,000 words in it. Did everyone see that difference? So it's whether you want to have like 1, 2 Mississippi it loads, or whether you want to be going like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi before it loads. And I will let Joseph know that I think we need some kind of indication that it's loading once you click on it. You know, what do you all think? Because some of these bigger files, man, they take forever. So again, we can just click on story information. Wait, am I in the document now? Okay. Click on story information, and it can just take a long time to load because it's just bogged down. So I think those bigger files just bog everything down. And then when I click story so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. 7 seconds. It loaded. Some of us have the patience from dial-up days, but most of us don't. So we're going to get that fixed. We're at least going to let it say like it's loading and all of that. But if I come over to, if I load a different project and I load The Trouble with Horses, because I took the time. So I'll load this. Close. You know, I think there's actually a problem with Raptor, and I got to talk to him. Yeah, see, it's unresponsive. I think. Oh, wait. I think it's just because I have it running a bunch of times. So it's using 322. It would be fun to have a baby raptor egg hatching in the waiting. Okay. I will exit page. Oh, snap. We'll reload it. Thankfully, everything was saved because I had my projects in there. So I'm still in. I've got this. I'll load the project, load the trouble with horses. And now it's loaded. And because these are smaller documents, it still takes it a second to load. Like I clicked on 5 and now it loads 5. So the more you put in here, the more it takes. So you may end up wanting to even make your projects like different acts and things like that. Again, we built this as a free tool. I will talk to him about maybe there's some ways to do some tricks with memory usage and stuff like that. Maybe doing some different caching and stuff of the documents. So we'll try to get it to smooth out. But for right now, Raptor Write's really just designed for you to be able to write in it and then take your documents somewhere else, what is your final place. Please do not make Raptor Write your final place to store your documents. It's not robust enough for that. It is literally just running in your browser. If you write a whole bunch in Raptor Write, you want to go save that over into Scrivener or into Google Docs or wherever it is that you keep your final writing files. Raptor Write is not, because if you clear your cache, it's all gone. That's why you have the backup the projects thing. You can load those back in, but it's not smart software in the sense that it's constantly saving all the time and all of that. It's very alpha, brand new. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.